But it's not what people think. It is controlled aggression. It's chess. But it doesn't look like that to the layman. To the just average Joe, it looks like two guys or two girls having a scrap. But actually, you don't realize that those guys in the ring, they're looking for weaknesses, they're looking for strengths, they're looking for how can they take advantage of this particular move or that particular move. So it was really interesting for me to see the people who I was with watching it.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall, and I'm excited because, well, I've got I've been struggling how I wanted to present this episode, but I believe very much in this idea that there are opposites in the world, lots of theories of opposites and stuff like that. And so we have in one corner in this episode just handsome, attractive, eye candy, really great accent, super excited to have Daz here with us. And then right from under a bridge, we got him to come out without eating any children or any sheep, the troll-like opposite, Garrett. Thank you guys both for being here in the Cultural Hall.
You don't like my accent. I get it. I hear what you're saying.
It's good to be here. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, give people, and I'm going to go to Garrett for this one, and then obviously I want to get how Daz got involved in all this stuff. But Garrett, is this what we should expect? You're putting out movies every month now. Is it that much easier with AI that you just got movie? I'm going to talk to you again next month.
I hope so. We're going to talk about The Carpenter this month, and I cannot wait for people to see this movie. This has been done for a while, but we're just now getting it out there. It just happens to be on the heels of Faith of Angels, but they are two totally different films.
Yeah, definitely. And I think most people know, but films can be done for a good long time, and for whatever reason, a strike, the timing isn't right, another film of similar thing comes out, and people will hold on to these projects. Why has it been done for a little bit and is now coming out?
So Carpenter was produced by a family who lives in Texas, the Krebs family, and they originally reached out and said, "Hey, we want to produce this film for our family." And so it's been very much their project, and they're driving it. And I think they've had a year or so to show the film to their family and the people that they initially wanted to make it for. Mm-hmm. And the reception has been so strong that they've said, "Hey, we need to put this in theaters." And so it just kind of happened to fall right now on the tails of Faith of Angels.
There's definitely something that I want to ask about that, but I need people to know what The Carpenter. Give me that 30-second elevator pitch of The Carpenter is a blah 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 blah.
What we've been telling people is The Carpenter is like Rocky meets The Chosen, right? It's this wonderful MMA story of biblical proportions. A young orphan is training to be a prize fighter, and he happens to become the apprentice to a mysterious carpenter from Nazareth. And it's just this full action fight movie with this faith-based element, and it's just been so fun to show it to people.
So Daz, I have to ask you, when you get an elevator pitch of, "Hey, would you like to be in a movie that's like Rocky meets The Chosen," whether it's from your agent or someone else, what is that reception like for you?
It wasn't quite like that, but it was an interesting. It was very interesting. So I was due to work with Garrett on a particular project, and we were discussing it. We were discussing it, and during the conversation, he said something, and I said, "Well, where are you?" He said, "I'm in South Africa." I said, "What are you doing there?" He said, "Oh, we're doing a recce run for this project for the Carpenter." And I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe there's something there for me." He didn't tell me anything more about the project. I didn't have a clue what it was about. And he said, "Yeah, leave it with me." And then the next thing, I was flying out to South Africa to shoot it. So it was not through my agent at all. It was just pure conversation, and it just happened.
Well, so there's a couple things that strike me about that. One, Garrett, that you must trust Daz and his ability. and know that he's got the look to be able to fit something like that. But you and I, Garrett, have conversations all the time, and you've never flown me to South Africa for any sort of projects you've been on. I guess I don't look like Daz. I don't sound like Daz. I get it. I get it.
I worked with Daz previously on a project, and then this Carpenter came up, and it was amazing. I mean, not only was I there at the moment in South Africa, and Daz and I were talking about this other project that we were getting ready. I don't think we had shot yet.
No, we hadn't shot it, no.
Yeah, that's right. And not only did it come up, but Cameron Krebs, who's one of the he's the family behind this film. He reached out about the same time, unrelated, and kind of said, "Hey, what about Daz Crawford for such and such role?" And I'm thinking, I'm literally either having a conversation with him or I'm working with him on this other project. So, Richie, it was meant to be for Daz. And I'll tell you, if Cam ever reaches out and said, "Hey, what about Richie for this role?" That's it, man. You're my call. You're it.
Sure. I mean, I'm doing push-up now. Not multiple, just singular push-up. So maybe I'll get the call. I've got to know a little bit more about this, because the premise, not necessarily of the film, although I do want to talk about that, because it just seems like we're saying a carpenter out of Nazareth, we're doing a Jesus wink, but I want to get to that in a minute. But the Krebs family comes and says, we're making a family for our film, a film for our family. That seems like it's like, we've got a bunch of vacation footage. It's in a box.
Yeah.
Can you come and help us do it? Almost like that. Obviously, it's not. This is a story, a narrative. It's all those kind of things. But who are they that they wanted this, that they got you and made this thing?
Yeah, good question. And I get that that's a weird premise to like say, hey, yeah, let's do a movie. I mean, just a weird scenario in which, but it is true. And it's, the Krebs family are a successful family that live in Texas, and they're not involved in film. They had seen some of my work years ago. They had watched a couple of my films in theaters, and Cameron Krebs, he's this 20-something-year-old guy that works for the family business, called and said, "Hey, I really like what you're doing. Would you like to hear my idea for a movie?" He says, "I don't know how to make movies. I'm not a movie guy, but I think that if you want to reach an audience, you need to hear my idea." And that's kind of his approach to life. It's like, hey, let me tell you how to do things. And it's worked for them. They've built a very successful business doing that. And, as a filmmaker, as an indie filmmaker, if somebody says, "Hey, we've got funding and we'd like to hire you to make our idea," that's a call you want to take.
Yeah.
And so it's been years, initially I was brought on to write this story. I mean, he pitched a story that he and his father were working together building a shed, and they were talking about Jesus and how Jesus was a carpenter, and hey, wouldn't it have been interesting to be an apprentice, a carpenter's apprentice under Jesus? And I thought, well, yeah, that's kind of an interesting story, a premise for a movie. And that was initially kind of what they pitched me, is like, what if Jesus, before his ministry, what if kind of he had a carpenter's apprentice? And that was the initial pitch, and it evolved into, who is this apprentice of Jesus? And maybe he's a fighter. We got to have action in a movie. People want to see action. And so ultimately, over years of writing drafts and scripts and sending it off to the Krebs family, and then having their input and suggesting different ideas, it's evolved into this film. And ultimately, it was just a kind of a writer for hire thing. And then they came back and said, a couple of years later, came back and said, "Hey, what would you think about directing this?" And so we put together a budget. And during COVID, we said, "Okay, well, let's figure out how to shoot this." And South Africa was a great place to shoot it. And so that's the long story of how it all came together.
I love some of those things that are worth picking out. It's like, hey, would you mind directing this during a worldwide pandemic in another country on a different continent from where you live? Oh yeah, I kind of do that. Now, Daz, let me ask you, because I know, or at least I think I know, maybe I don't know this at all. When you talk about faith-based projects, you are a full-blown, you are actor, credits upon credits upon credits. And you guys, you have to check out the video of this. He's handsome as anything in the world. And the voice just, just adds to it. Come on, Daz. I have to look away just so I can get my question out to you. Is there stigma for you in picking up a faith-based project, or what were your thoughts around doing something like that? And what have your thoughts become now that you've had the opportunity to do a faith-based project?
Great. It's a great question. So it initially started a couple of years ago when I auditioned for a project called the Christ Child. And to me at the time, it was just another job. It's something I'd never done before. And it was very interesting once I'd sent off my audition, and then we did some live like Zoom with the people involved. I didn't know anything about it. And then we flew up to Utah to shoot it, and I met everybody. And like you say, I've been around a while, and I've got a few credits. And I found working on the set, this particular set, for me, my experience was very, very different to working on the likes of Universal and Sony and the bigger studios and the TV shows I've done. Very, very different. There was still a product to be made, but it was the journey with the people that I found very interesting, very warm, very welcoming, very friendly. People were giving me gifts when we finished. I was blown away by all this, because this is not normal on a normal set. And it interested me even more. My manager was 50-50 whether I should do the job. And I said, look, I've never done something like this before. And then when I was given the role, and I thought deeply about that particular role and thought, Daz, what would you do if you were really in this situation and you found baby Jesus? What would you do? And what you saw is what I would have really done. I didn't act that. That was how I felt. And then obviously people saw, and then I got booked on a couple more jobs, and then this one. And at the moment, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm in this element where it's not been me in the past, but I don't know where it's going to go. So at the moment, I'm just going with it. I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying the people I'm meeting and people I'm working with. And I just don't know where it's going to go, but I'm finding it very, very interesting, and I'm intrigued by it all.
In kind of a background question around you, are you a person of faith before you got kind of cast into this? Or are you like, Jesus, I've never heard. I've heard people say, and I need to, like, give me some of that background.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I've never been the religious type of person. I've just got on with my life. It hasn't been a great, particularly, I don't have a good background. I didn't have a family. So it was very, I was alone a lot. And everything I've done, I've achieved on my own. So I didn't really look to anybody for help in any way. The type of person just got on with it. And so this is probably why I'm confused right now. And I'm just trying to just take it all in day by day and see where it takes me.
So you get this role. You're not pitched at all. The elevator pitch that we heard about this. Tell everybody what you do in the movie and what they can look forward and go, oh, I heard the interview with that guy. That's the guy. That's him.
Okay. So the character's name is Shara, and Cam, the lead guy, his father passes away. I want to give this whole story away, but he gives him a message to come and find me. It's not in not all of this is in the script. I make stuff up to go with the script, and I gave myself a background that I used to be a fighter, but in reality, I was actually a boxer for England, so I did actually box anyway. But I was a failed fighter. I didn't make it. I lost focus and confidence, and I was distracted. When I meet Cam, I see what I see him. I see me in him, and I think this guy could be me, and he could be a champion. So I want to help him become that champion, and that's my particular role in this project.
So Garrett, what was it about Daz that made you go, yeah, this is the guy, this is the mentor, this is the years of experience, this is what I need?
Well, I mean, there were a couple of things. Just starting out, I mean, just immediately seeing Daz's work, saying that I'd love to work with that individual. That's one of the reasons we reached out and cast him in a couple of different projects. And then just getting to know him, even on the set, you know, I think Daz, we were kind of just shooting around or talking and say, oh yeah, I know, I think we were talking about, hey, you know, what would you say to train Cam or something like that? He's like, oh, I know, because I've done this. And like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I'm a boxer. I'm like, okay, that's going in the script. So I think, as you said, it wasn't initially in the script, but you can, when you watch the movie now, there are scenes that are written after we started, you know, initially down there going, okay, we got to build this character out. And Daz is so watchable. He brings so much life to this character of Sharar, that you really do get to see that backstory and experience what Daz is talking about. Richie, I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah, I'll take it. You like looking at him. That's what you wanted to be friends with him and you like looking at him. That's what I said minutes ago. I figured I just wanted the confirmation from you. For people that are looking for, because I love the premise and I love the idea that it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to have some faith in here and this mysterious person, a carpenter, wink Jesus. How do you blend beating the crap out of each other in an MMA style and being like, oh, I really feel good. I really feel good about that. You know, how do we get that? I love both ideas. I think that's a great premise for it, but that seems almost insurmountable to be like, he's bloody and near death, and let's talk about faith, everyone.
It's definitely kind of an eyebrow raise. And we're like, wait, what? And then don't forget, Richie, we got to add to that the soundtrack of Motley Crue and I mean, just these heavy metal bands that are the soundtrack throughout these fights. So again, there's a third element now. You go, okay, we're going to mix all these things together and get a movie that's not like that's good. And yeah, it's been so fun to show it to people because there's this element of, hey, I think there's an underserved audience. You know, Daz and I went to an MMA fight a few weeks ago, and we're in Salt Lake at the Delta Center. What was that like, Daz? I mean, to be there?
And you know, is the atmosphere to when you go and watch anything, MMA, boxing, is amazing. You cannot verbalize the feeling of what's going on. It's very interesting for me because obviously I boxed a lot, and I was watching the people that we were with because it was the first time for a lot of people who'd never seen it before. So it was very interesting to see somebody's or hear somebody's opinion about this, you know, about fighting. It is, but it's not what people think. It is controlled aggression. It's chess, but it doesn't look like that to the layman. It's to the just average Joe. It looks like two guys or two girls having a scrap. But actually, you don't realize that those guys in the ring, they're looking for weaknesses, they're looking for strengths, they're looking for what they can, how can they take advantage of this particular move or that particular move. So it was really interesting for me to see the people who I was with watching it, whether they were cringing or found it, you know, just not their cup of tea. Don't forget, in the Carpenter, there's a love story in there as well. So, you know, to me, I saw MMA, you know, mixed martial arts, Jesus, a love story, all mingled together, and you have the Carpenter. That's how I saw it. So it is something, you know, again, me and Garrett have been discussing it, you know, where do you put it? What demographic is it? But it's got a huge demographic, huge. You know, you've got the people who love to watch fights, and you've got faith-based people to watch it. And there is a love story. So, you know, what more do you want?
It's pretty. It has been pretty fun to show people. And Daz, I was there with you at that UFC fight, and so you're probably looking at me going, okay, is he understanding what's going on? Is he just like covering his eyes? And I'll tell you, man, the fact that these guys get in there and fight it out and until somebody can't stand up anymore, and then ref blows the whistle, they stand up, hug it out, hey, good fight, man. And then, one raises his hand, one's the winner. And that to me was kind of what this was. It was like, oh, this is these guys' passion. Like, this is what their gift is. They feel like this is their gift. And if that, and we talk about this in the movie a little bit, that whatever your gift is, whatever, if you're suiting up for the football team and you run out and tackle all the guys, and at the end, and you see this across the country, people say, I want to thank my Lord and Savior for giving me, for the touchdown or whatever. And you go, that's an underserved audience. Like, this is not a soft kind of faithy, syrupy, that type of genre of a movie. There's awesome MMA fights in here, but I think we want that. I think that I know that my kids who have watched it say like, yeah, we finally there's some action in a faith-based movie. That's kind of what we want.
Yeah, I love that introduction to it. I also appreciate that you tried to explain football for a second, Garrett. That looked uncomfortable. You're like, they'd suit up and they tackle all the
quarterback makes tackles.
Ball,
yeah.
There's foot go team. I appreciate that. I won't put you in that position to have to explain sports again. I have to give you a hard time about it. I want to take a quick break. When we come back in the second block, I want to tell people how they can watch The Carpenter, why they should watch it, when they should watch it, all of the things. Plus, I got a few more questions I want to ask you guys. We'll come back and do that in the second half of the Cultural Hall. BestDJinUtah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Uh-huh. Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the Cultural Hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. BestDJinUtah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. BestDJinUtah.com.
Imagine running a small business today. It's challenging. Imaging and internet presence is an absolute must. Even with that, you're still a small star in a bright cyber universe. Now, imagine you have someone who understands how to get your site designed for your talents and then easily searched by potential clients. Imagine Lennon Design. Whether it's strictly a website or a whole package of logo creation, advertising media, and promotional materials, Lennon Design is your partner in business. They'll test the boundaries of their imagination to create something unique for you. When you need creative, affordable design, let it be Lennon Design. Call 801-699-3022 or visit LennonDesign.com.
Here in the second half of the Cultural Hall, remember, you can always send us an email, contact@theculturalhall.com. If you thought this was a great episode, you want to share your thoughts, you go and see the movie and you want to say, hey, thanks for introducing me to this great film, contact@theculturalhall.com. If you have negative things, just keep it to yourself. I don't have the time. All right. Contact@theculturalhall.com. Jesus, typically known to be not, fight oriented. I mean, there were some table tipping, some of those things, but generally, I think it's sort of a meekness, a gentle sort of thing when displayed throughout Christianity. This seems to juxtapose or to put Jesus in a more aggressive is not the word, but maybe aggressive adjacent. How did you treat that, Garrett?
Well, I think that it's important to point out that that with the
you make no claim that he's Jesus, but he's Jesus, right? Is that what we're trying to say?
No.
Okay.
I want to make sure that the violence and fighting and everything certainly existed in the time of Jesus.
Sure.
And we don't ever show Jesus at these fights, at the arena fights, and I would imagine that he probably would not have gone to those. But certainly we're not saying that, hey, what if Jesus was a fighter? That's not the case. I mean, this is a biblical, I've researched as much as I could, reading Jesus the Christ, and really kind of try to pay attention to what information we know about the Savior prior to the beginning of his ministry. And I make no claim that this is like a historically accurate, depiction. I mean, we had fun. It's like if what's that film? What's the Heath Ledger movie where it's the
10 Things I Hate About You. No?
This is fantastic. This is good radio right here, Richie.
The Dark Knight.
No,
nothing.
I'm sorry.
Joker.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's Joaquin Phoenix. Anyway.
we had fun with the history of it. We had a lot of fun with the history of it. Yeah, it's a hyper stylized version, like if Guy Ritchie did a faith-based movie.
I guess let me interject real quick. I guess I should say that people typically, when they think of the Savior or when they think of a faith-based thing, they don't often think of fighting, of this
Sure.
kind of thing. I guess is more what I was trying to say.
Yeah. But I tell you what, in our daily lives, we're, it's a daily battle, right? We're facing good and evil in a daily battle, and yet we invite Christ into our lives.
Yeah.
And so how does that happen in biblical times? The gladiators, are they starting with a prayer, like behind, and then they go out and do their battle and then come back and thank Jesus for, their gifts and talents that enable them to stay alive?
Yeah.
That's kind of where this, again, Richie, maybe I don't know a ton about football, but you can see.
Hang on, here we go, everyone.
In the locker room, when guys are getting ready to go out, the coach comes in and says, "Gather around, guys," and they say a prayer before their battle. I mean, that's when did that start? And so that's kind of this.
Fighters do it as well. You don't even need to refer to football because fighters do it in the room as well with their trainer. A lot of fighters I know would say a prayer before they got in the ring. So it isn't just a one sport.
Right. And so Jesus can be a part of their lives as well.
Right.
Right. We don't need to be, yeah.
I wanted to emphasize it because I think it's such a vital display of that. I think so many times we think we put Jesus sort of in this box, right? People that follow Jesus are like this, and that Jesus can be applicable for all people in all situations. And this is one where we see it applicable not very often.
100%. This has been her, right?
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. The people, I really want to hear what people do have to say about it because it is so unusual. There's nothing out there like it. It's definitely unique. I don't think it's ever been done before. I don't know ever any movie that I could compare it with. And because it does have a massive demographic, I just feel that you have to go there to be able to voice your opinion. You have to go and watch it before you try us sitting here, talking about it. We could do it all day long.
Sure.
But it still doesn't, you really need to go and see it. And then, we want to hear what you think about it because that's what's really important. Did we make a connection? Did you get it? Did you understand it?
It's been fun to show to people. Rich, we had a premiere a few days ago in Atlanta, and there's a couple of hundred people there in the theater, and there's a front row full of people in their karate gis that came to support the movie.
Yeah, they did.
Middle section is a Baptist congregation
Okay.
that comes and supports the movie, and they're all celebrating the movie. Prior to that, we showed the film at a private screening down in Provo, and the BYU offensive line came with Coach Sataki and Tom Holmoe, and they all came and watched the film. And again, going into it, they're going, how's this going to come together? You got fighting and Jesus, and what are we doing here?
And a love story. Don't forget the love story, Garrett.
And a love story, and the uncle, and Fine Sherrod. And at the end, I mean, their interviews are tears and adrenaline. So it's been very, very fun to watch people watch this film.
I love the call out, Daz, of listen, you have to go and check it out. We can talk about it all day long and say, oh, it's great. And what about this? And a juxtaposition of this. And, oh, how were you able to? Right? People can be able to go and see it. I have to wonder for you guys, you were talking about the MMA fight and kind of looking over and to see how other people are. When you guys are at these premieres, I'm sure you're watching and going, oh, maybe I do that a little bit differently, or, oh, that we nailed that, or that was the second take. The first take is where he tripped and almost died, or what, you have all that kind of behind the scenes thing. But when you're watching other people watch what you guys have created, take me to that experience as you guys are watching people watch it.
For me personally, obviously, like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and when I have had the opportunity to go to the cinema to watch people's reaction, I would normally sit at the back, and if it's a comedy, I want to see if they laugh. If it's emotional, I want to see if they cry. I want to see if they've made a connection. If they haven't made a connection, then for me personally, and I do feel I set my bar quite high. If I fail to meet that connection, then I didn't do a good job. So I do work a lot in the background personally when I receive scripts, what I want to work on, and I do try and bring in this particular character of Shara. I make up a backstory of my whole life as to how I got where I am right now. That's not in the script. So when I'm watching people watch, I want to see how that, if I hear a little mumble here or a laugh there or a groan there, then we're connecting with people. If people are just sitting there, just watching it with nothing, we failed. We haven't made the, we haven't got the story across. So I just feel that it's going to be one of those where we'll see what people say about it. I just keep thinking to myself, you cannot compare it with anything. So we can't actually say to someone, oh, what's it about? I like this type of movie. I like that type of movie. Well, we still don't just go and watch it and then tell us.
Yeah.
What about for you, Garrett? As you've seen people be able to enjoy it, to be able to view it, being, writing and then subsequently kind of directing it. Tell me what that experience has been like for you.
I think for me, it's a conversation, right? So I say, look, I've made a 90-minute statement, and I'm excited for the rebuttal. And whether you agree or disagree, that's awesome. I want to hear it. And so, and the Carpenter, like Dad says, it's unlike anything that is out there. And I think some people are going to absolutely love it, and some people are going to say, wait, what about this? Or, oh, I didn't like this part, or what if we change this? And just join the conversation. Like, get in, see the film, and then talk about it.
So I have to ask you, would you rather have someone disagree just aggressively with you than not feel anything from it?
I think that's inevitable. I think people are going to do that regardless.
I mean, that's not what I asked you, Garrett. The question that I asked you is, would you rather that someone go terrible or I disagree because of bunk, 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 rather than be like, how was it? It was fine.
Those my only two choices?
Yeah. I'd
rather somebody just love it. I want people to love it.
No, there will be lots of people who love it. I am sure you have a long list of work and people love you. But I am curious, like, would you rather get an emotion from someone that's so visceral of like garbage? No, I couldn't believe it. You make them feel all of those things, or would you rather have someone go, it's fine, Garrett? Or would you like, nah, it was good?
I don't know. If I had to choose one, I don't know. It's crushing when people don't love it. I'd want to find out more what they don't love about it. So probably that. I would rather them have some sort of reaction to it rather than just the meh. So at least I can learn from that and say, okay, what is it you didn't like? Is just you don't like what? And do I want to change that? Do I want to fix that? Or do I want to say, okay, well, you're not my audience.
Sure.
I don't know.
What do you think, Daz? Would you rather someone see your performance and go, Daz did fine, or be like, horrible, hated it?
My first question, if they say that, I say why. Tell me what it is. I need, because somebody making a comment about a product or a project, they have to have a reason why they can't just say it for
right.
Yeah.
But, when somebody says to me, oh yeah, I didn't like it, and I would say, well, what was it you didn't like, or what was missing, or tell me, and I can get into their heads. The same, the reverse could be, I liked it. Well, why did you like it? What did you like about it? So it is, yeah, of course, people, like Garrett said, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like it. That's in life with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you even go? If it's something that you weren't sure about, why would you go in the first place? Maybe you're just inquisitive. You want to see. And, I want truth. I want the truth. Give me the truth, what you really, really think about. Don't just say it because, oh, yeah, I'm in front of you. Mm-hmm. Tell me the truth. Did it hit a mark for you? Did it not? would you recommend it to somebody else? You know, so it's definitely for me, when I expect people who go there kind of know what it's about.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be, you know, if it totally missed the mark, then I just want to know why.
Yeah, hey, I didn't like it because it wasn't like Mary Poppins. Great, that's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Great.
Okay, great. We're on the
I
same
can work
page.
with that. Yeah,
We're on
I
the
can
same
work with that.
page.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Daz, that when you said I want the truth, it took everything in my power to not interrupt you and say you can't handle the truth, because I wanted to so badly to be able to do it so multiple times. But as an interviewer, I wanted to let you have your chance to talk.
I can tell you this, Richie. Daz can handle the truth.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason why I bring that up is in the opportunity of opening weekends, if you're at a place where some of the cast or where Garrett is attending, oftentimes there is either a talkback or people will mingle in the lobby. And I don't think people take advantage of enough of those opportunities to be able to do it, to be able to ask you guys questions, to have the talkback series, to be able to join in a forum where they can say, hey, I think I loved this, but I hated this. What was this about? And maybe they just didn't get it, have it explained. Then they get the opportunity to see it again, where they're paying a ticket for another time on opening weekend, driving people to be able to see it more times in more places and all of the things, that then they get the chance to do it. Are there any opportunities that are going to occur for people to be able to see it with either the cast or with you, Garrett, to be able to have some of those talkbacks?
I imagine so. I mean, at this point, Daz and I are going across the country doing word of mouth. I guess red carpet premieres. We were in San Diego and Atlanta. We'll be in Salt Lake, and then Dallas and Memphis. Nashville. And these are all upcoming. And then we open in theaters in November, 1st of November. And so any Q&As or special screenings will be promoted on the website at carpentermovie.com.
So people need to find and then check back in with that. Their socials for these things as well for Carpenter Movie.
Yes, yeah. The team does a great job of running the Facebook and Instagram and getting the word out there for these events.
So no matter where you live at, that's the thing I was really driving towards. And I appreciate you guys engaging in what I could tell was an uncomfortable question for both of you guys, but I love having that dialogue because I think it can be a learning opportunity and a unique opportunity we don't get for a lot of movies to have cast and or director be at a red carpet screening or a screening of a film to be able to ask, hey, why this? Tell me why you did it, and be able to open that up. And people really need to take advantage of that. And then, as we always say, opening weekend for films, so important. If people are listening for the first time, Garrett, they've never heard us talk about this before. Why is going opening weekend when this film comes out so very, very, very important?
Well, thanks for asking that. And yeah, as we've talked about, for these films, for any film, opening weekend is what determines whether or not the film is going to stay in theaters. And not only that, but whether or not other films like it can be made and produced. And so we encourage everybody, just buy a ticket to opening weekend and go see it. But on Monday morning, the theater bookers look at the box office and say, is this movie worth keeping around, or should we book something else? And this movie is definitely worth keeping around.
Is it really determined that much by ticket sales? So meaning if you had something like this that maybe the whole world doesn't know about, but everyone decided on an opening weekend to go out and theaters were completely packed, there isn't some sort of organization or society that tries to keep faith-based films out of the theaters that would keep something, you know what I'm saying? Can it really be driven? Can we make a difference by going and watching these films in the theaters?
Daz, you're nodding.
I think so, 100%. That will determine, like Garrett said, it will determine whether it stays in the theatre. If people don't go, then to the theatre companies it's business. To us it's personal. They just see numbers and they work off the numbers. And if the numbers aren't there, they will remove it and put another project in there. So we really need the support of everybody to actually go and watch it. And it's a good movie. So don't waste your money. Go there, and it's a good movie. Get your popcorn, get your soda, you'll be fine. And and I do. It is really powerful that for you all to attend in that opening weekend. It will make a big what's the word? It's going to make for everybody that goes there. I think it's worth going. I've done a lot of projects, and it's something I've never done, and I think it's very, very interesting. And it's just worth going. Just go. What are you going to do? Sit at home watching TV anyway. You might as well go out and watch something really good. Have a good time. Have something to talk about.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, and hopefully we've created the curiosity around it where they just go, what? Like, I feel like we've done a pretty good job kind of setting the story and all of those things. But I feel like in order to really understand a love story and an apprentice and fighting and all these things, I imagine most people are just like, I listened for 45 minutes and now I just need to go see it because it sounds great. It sounds like I need to see how Garrett was able to put this all together in a movie, and I need to put my money where my eyes and ears are and go check out Carpenter. You guys, carpentermovie.com is where people can go find and follow on all of the social media. Now, Daz, I don't know if Garrett gave you a heads up, but there's a question that we ask everyone in the Cultural Hall. I'm going to ask it of both of you, and you get to interpret it however you may. It's not a leading question. It's literally however you interpret the question to be. I'll let Garrett answer first because you may need a second.
Okay.
But the question that we ask everyone is, what is your favorite part of your faith? So, Garrett, you get to go first.
I got to go for, that's to me now.
Yep.
And
yep.
I mean, it was only a few weeks ago that you asked me this again, and I don't think it's changed. I think favorite part of my faith is my relationship with Jesus Christ, right? And knowing that He is there for me and so forgiving, and that through Him I'm able to. Well, I guess you can finish that sentence, but that's my favorite part.
Yeah. All right, Daz, however you may. What's your favorite part?
Wow, that's a great question. The favorite part of my faith would be, this is how I'm going to answer it, whether it's the right,
There's no right answers, no wrong answers, just a question.
My is to being committed, being honest, being open, being accessible, listening, and those things for me are what I typically do when I meet people. I want to know about them, and I'm a very open person, and so I find that is my faith. That is what I typically do.
Yeah, I have to tell you, as we talked, I was super impressed by one of the things that you said, where you said, yeah, I don't know where doing these kind of faith-based things are going to go, but I'm along for the journey. And I love that it's just sort of open hand, and you're like, I don't know, but eyes wide open and being curious as you find your way through it. I think it's a tremendous example. I know you felt like maybe there was a right or a wrong answer into that, but I think that tells everyone exactly who Daz is. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, I'm going to end this as we always do. I hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body, that if you're not healthy enough to listen this week, that you'll be healthy enough to listen next week. And then when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Rick McGee, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U will be saving a seat for you on the back row of the Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We really gotta go on the Cultural Hall show.